Hi, I'm Old Norse Specialist Jackson Crawford. Not too long ago, I put up a video in which I discussed the movie The 13th Warrior in light of how the details of it seemed for someone with an academic background in Norse language, myth, culture, and such. And apropos of that, about the time that video was put up, my friend Luke Ranieri of, among others, the YouTube channels Scorpio Martianus, Polymathy, said, well, Crawford, what do you want to see in a Viking movie? If you don't want to talk about, things you don't like, if you don't want to just be the fun police, what would you say to someone making a new movie set in this time or about these themes that would make you like it more? So I have a few minutes of thoughts about that. One is that I don't seek this stuff out, and it's not anything to do with what's accurate or inaccurate, but I don't turn to Viking fiction or stuff like that. I'm not that interested in what people today do with these medieval sources. I am interested in the medieval sources. I don't learn much about them from people's mega $1 million blockbuster movies and TV shows about them, so I just don't pay much attention to that stuff. I'm not a big movie or TV or video game person. So if someone does clamp me down to a chair and force my eyes open and make me watch one of these things, what makes me like one more than the other? Accuracy per se, by that usually people mean accuracy of material culture stuff, armor, weapons, clothes, haircuts, that kind of stuff. I just don't care that much. I feel like enough changes in our understanding of those things from decade to decade that you can do a pretty good job, and you're never going to do a perfect job. So if you try reasonably hard with that stuff, it's hard for me to care very much. I like to see conscious decisions made about language, though. So, we seem to have a strange trope in some media, like How I Met Your Dragon, portraying the Norse as speaking English with a Scottish accent, which is weird, but I guess it's associated vaguely with the North. If you're going to do that, just do it consistently. If you're going to have them speaking a modern Scandinavian language or modern Icelandic, have them do that consistently. Even if it's a pretty bad movie, as a language person, that kind of thing helps me, helps me not lose my sense of wonder that I think filmmakers want me to have, right? I don't like the fetishization of Viking stuff that I feel is so prominent in so much popular media about them today. And it's not just Viking, it's kind of everything. It's just it's fetishized, right? It's not just like sexualized marketing. There certainly is some of that, but I mean in the sense that everything is rah-rah this and rah-rah that, and I don't care. I'm not here to tell you that the Vikings were the perfect civilization. I'm not here to tell you they sucked, right? Like, I just don't care. That's not something that's interesting to me, and I don't want a movie taking either one of those perspectives. I want it to just give me a story. It can be a completely amoral story. Many of the sagas are. That would actually be really interesting, right? Something thematically more like, say, Egil's Saga Skallagrimssonar, where you have a hero who's not really a virtuous man by the standards of his own time, certainly isn't by the standards of our time, but still has an interesting story, does a lot of interesting things. That would be interesting to see done, especially if it weren't done in a tongue-in-cheek way, but were just sort of story, right? Like many of the sagas are. And that way, as someone who doesn't love modern interpretations and obsessions, I think that it would be potentially fruitful ground for a movie maker or TV show to be based really on a saga. And I don't just mean like kind of nominally the names come from a saga or something like that, like here's the Ragnar sons, except they don't really do anything that's in the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok, but actually be based on a saga. The saga of the Volsunds, saga of Hervor and Haethrak, both of which I've translated. Not that filmmakers would probably credit that kind of thing as a written source. Both of those would make great movies. Honestly, you could make a really trippy, weird kind of supernatural vibe TV show about the Norse gods using actual myths. And I don't mean the myths as interpreted through the big book of Norse mythology or Wikipedia or somebody's, you know, webpage or YouTube channel, but actually like just making the trippy, weird short stories that the Edda consists of. That would be neat. I feel like too many of our modern obsessions get imported into things. We do live in, as I mentioned in another video that I filmed today, a kind of symbol-obsessed society, a kind of sex-obsessed society. You know, I'm sick of all things sexual in movies, right? It's overdone. And honestly, I've seen just about every way that you can split a head with an axe in a movie. I want to see something more interesting, you know, use this time period to tell us something about the human condition that isn't about fucking sex. You know, give us a message that isn't, you know, peace will always triumph, that involves 2.5 hours of people chopping each other's heads off. I guess I'm getting to be an old man who wants to either see what's true historically or what's true to the human spirit and the human condition. And that, more than any particular design of shield or, you know, pronunciation of Icelandic, is what would make a Viking movie I'd want to watch. It still would be pretty hard to rip me away from what I really want to spend my free time doing, which is getting lost in places like this. So, for now, thank you, Patreon. Thanks to Luke Ranieri, and to everyone from beautiful Colorado. I'm wishing you all the best.